people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
On the point.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
On the point.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
so no agreement with the EU, but
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
On the point.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
so no agreement with the EU, but
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable
On the point.
Hello viewers and welcome to this fresh episode of Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. News, events and stories abound in the state system. ATN's appetite for in-depth, unbiased and factual reportage is the driving principle for this program in order to bring government activities to the doorstep of the people. Now let's go through the highlights of today's report. In Rivers State, Governor Fubara speaks on Tinubu's intervention in Rivers crisis. In Benue State, Reps member urged Governor to enforce the anti-open grazing law. On health matters, President Tinubu says Nigeria can manufacture vaccines. On the FCT, Wike calls on religious leaders to pray for Nigeria. Let's go for a very short break, and when we return, we'll dive in straight to the details for today. Please stay tuned.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human
On the
trafficker.
point.
on them. They are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
Welcome back to Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. Now let's head into the details for today. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says the intervention of President Bola Tinubu in the crisis between him and his estranged political godfather, Nyesom Wike, was political and not constitutional. He said he was committed to implementing the 8-point resolution reached at the mediation meeting with Tinubu in Abuja last year, October, out of respect for the president and warned that he would surprise those who considered his honest decision to implement the Presidential Peace Pact as a sign of weakness. Fubara also said he had been inundated with several comments in the media about the implementation of the peace initiative and had chosen to be silent out of maturity and wisdom, adding that the agreement that was accepted was a political solution. A statement issued in Port Harcourt by his chief press secretary, Nelson Chukudi, said he had commenced the implementation of the agreement out of respect for President Tinubu. Governor Fubara, who received members of the National Union of Local Government Employees from the 23 local government areas of Rivers State on a solidarity visit. A solidarity rally at the government house gate in Port Harcourt, also said their large numbers were a further proof of the nature of the organic support his administration had enjoyed and continues from the people of the state. All Progressive Congress in Rivers State has exposed plans by Governor Siminalayi Fubara to secure an interim order to override the laws passed by the State House of Assembly and declare them illegal. He said the plan is to appoint a caretaker chairman for the 23 local government areas in the state. APC Caretaker Committee Chairman Sir Tony Okocha, who disclosed this during a press briefing in Port Harcourt, frowned at the move by the governor and vowed to petition the judges involved to the National Judicial Council. He described the move as illegal, insensitive, and a disrespect to President Bola Tinubu.
He wants to procure interim order restraining or is stopping the implementation of the laws which he was vetoed over. He wants to procure an order to announce as illegal the Rivers State House of Assembly as constituted and as led by Right Honorable Martins Chike Amehule. And he's doing that so that he will now leverage on that law, on that order, to go ahead to appoint caretaker committees in local government against the warning of the man he says he respects, the president. But let's put it clearly here that we will stoutly, vehemently oppose some negative subterranean moves.
The APC in Rivers State further took a swipe at the outburst by Governor Siminalayi Fubara when he received the members of the local government employees in Government House on Wednesday. Recall that Governor Fubara had, during a rally by the local government employees on Wednesday, said the President Bola Tinubu's Peace Pact is a political solution and not a constitutional right, adding that his silence should not be taken as weakness. But the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman, Sir Tony Okocha, described Fubara's outburst as disrespectful to the person of President Bola Tinubu, who intervened in the political crisis in Rivers State, adding that Fubara's display of rascality shows no sign of peace. Okocha, who identified the principle of separation of powers between the legislative and the executive arms of government in Rivers State as the major cause of the political crisis in the state, disassociated the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, from the menace and therefore demands, amongst others, that the Rivers State governor should pay the 8-point peace pact by representing the budget to the recognized state assembly headed by Martins Amehule and conduct local government elections.
This unprovoked outburst further support our assertions that it is Governor Fubara who mobilized his cronies to institute suits in law courts challenging the powers of Mr. President to channel the peace pact. Is it not true that with Governor Sim's outburst, Mr. President is limited only in Rivers State to his avowal as sworn to protect and defend the entire territory and sovereignty of Nigeria, which of course includes Rivers State. In other words, Rivers State in itself according to Governor Siminaye Fubara, is a sovereign nation state with Governor Fubara now as the GCFR. Is it true to claim respect for one that you don't obey? Who was Governor Fubara wanting to surprise in such a crooked, high-pitched voice in public?
Now, son, this one with the ginger like this, calm down now. I deal with you. Analysts have called on Governor Fubara to recount how he emerged as the governor of Rivers State during the February 2023 elections in the state that got him into office as the executive governor of Rivers State. He reminded Fubara about his fallout with the FCT minister concerning the implementation of the Presidential Peace Pact, which he described as a political solution to the initial crisis rocking the state. Speaking on Atlantic Open Conversation, a political analyst, Ifeanyichukwu Ugochukwu, said the former governor of Rivers State, now the FCT minister, Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, solely worked for the victory of the February 2023 elections and deserves to be honored for the efforts.
In 2023, and Fubara is now, I can say that he's now assuming the position of the late president of Nigeria, who is the late Musa Yar'Adua, who said that the election that brought him were flawed. Because that is what I'm waiting for Fubara to do, because the sympathy he's gathering now, he never got it from the Rivers populace during the campaigns and during the election, even when he was sworn in, all because a FCT minister now muzzled everybody out, silenced everywhere, and made sure that he had his way. And it was not the person of Fubara that the Rivers people were disdaining, but because of the person behind his coming to power. So today, he suddenly find out that people are now supporting him. That is why he quickly signed the peace pact in Abuja. What he was talking about, because he never knew his ground.
The peace party.
Meanwhile, Mr. Asim Adams, a barrister at law, expressed disappointment over the lingering political feud in the state and will as well hinder the leadership stride of the current administration.
The Rivers State imbroglio between one hand, the governor and the FCT minister, and on the other hand, with the governor, the executive, and the legislature, has not abated. Instead of abating on a daily track, is exacerbating. And that is sorry sight for people of Rivers State. I was thinking by now, fences would have been mended, but you find out that at what point in time, the minister will speak from Abuja, a war mode. The governor on this other side will speak from Muhammad in a war mode. The House of Assembly also will turn out war threats, etc., as the case may be. So it's such of a rig.
Moving on, Rivers State Governor Siminaye Fubara has condemned the list of People's Democratic Party Caretaker Committee members for the state and local government areas circulating in public, which was allegedly released by the PDP National Secretariat. But speaking at the flag-off of the Auto Spare Parts Trading Commercial Center in Iriebe in Obiakpo local government area, the governor described the list as the handiwork of publicity seekers. A statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Nelson Chukudi, said the national leadership of the party had met recently and agreed that in states where the tenure of the PDP executives had expired, they should continue as caretakers for the next 3 months. The governor clarified that the National Executive Council did not approve that the new names should be added to the already existing number of officers or any subsisting officers removed, while the governor said Rivers State remained a very important state to protect, which is why his administration had chosen the path of peace in order to engender progress. Commenting on the Automobile Spare Parts Trading and Commercial Center, the project, Governor Fubara said that the project was evidence of his genuine interest in the well-being of Rivers people and the desire to promote growth, not because of any personal or business interests. Don't forget, there's more news to come, and you can still connect with us and watch us on our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. On, the Edo State House of Assembly has given 2 months warning notice to the management of the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, BEDC PLC, and the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to improve electricity supply to the residents of the state. Correspondent reports that the leadership of the House gave the notice at the plenary when officials of the two organizations appeared before it on Wednesday. The Speaker of the House, Blessing Abebako, who handed down the notice, threatened that the House would impose strict sanctions against the organizations if they failed to meet the directive. Abebako, however, advised BEDC and TCN officials to ensure that they live up to expectations, avoid energy theft, and give the people a better electricity supply. Correspondent also reports that the officials of the organizations had earlier been criticized by members of the House over the lingering poor or near non-existent electricity supply in the state. The lawmakers also queried the nonchalant attitude of BEDC and TCN towards the complaints of Edo State residents. Other complaints of the lawmakers were the rationale behind the fixing of transformers by electricity consumers, as well as the huge amount of estimated billing given to customers monthly in the state by BEDC. In his response, Jonathan Lawani, a representative of BEDC, told the lawmakers that the management was working assiduously to resolve the issue. Lawani added that both the BEDC and TCN are working in partnership to give the franchise states of Edo, Delta, Ondo, and Ekiti the needed electricity supply. On his part, Chijoke of TCN explained that the situation is not peculiar to Edo State, stressing that an upgrade of facilities is on the way. Public affairs analysts have called on the government and civil society organizations to regulate the activities carried out by herbalists across the country in order to reduce the rising spate of family misdemeanor and social disorderliness posed by their uncontrolled activities. Speaking on Atlantic Television's Society Watch, a public affairs analyst, Emmanuel Nweke, stressed on the need for monitoring and evaluation of herbalist activities in order to minimize the alarming rate of complications caused among families.
Episode of African Magic, where we are now seeing this extra technological variable, you know, the force attracting people to come together without consent. You know, it's technology to be so investigated. Yeah, you just see a lady and then you, provided there is a charm, and then there is no the minimal comfort around there, you can still stay for 6 days, and then that such a charm can also shut somebody from calls or taking calls. I don't really know.
Okay.
You know, so, and this part of the story is.
This is coming after a 35-year-old man, Abayomi Babalola, was arrested by operatives of the Amoteco Corps in Osun State over allegations that he kept a housewife as a sex slave for 3 weeks. A statement obtained in Oshobo, the spokesperson for the Osun Amoteco Corps, Yusuf Idowu, alleged that the suspect living in Modakeke had used a magic ring made for him by a cleric to commandeer the victim, identified simply as Sofiat, out of her husband's house and moved her to Modakeke, where she was kept as a sex slave. The police in Osun State has, on Thursday, brought a 21-year-old man, Adejimi Adepoju, before an Ile-Ife magistrate court for for alleged fake transfer. The prosecutor, Inspector Sunday Osanyintunyi, earlier informed the court that the defendant committed the offense on April the 3rd around 3:30 p.m. at Block 25, Shop C, New Market, OAU, Ile-Ife. The defendant, however, pleaded not guilty to one-count charge of fake transfer. Osanyintunyi said that the defendant defrauded Victor Olawale by unlawfully collecting one iPhone XR valued at 180,000 naira and faked the transfer of the money to the owner of the shop, Victor Olawale. He stated further that the offense contravened Section 157 of the Criminal Code, Laws of Osun State 2002. The defense counsel, Mr. Samuel Obi, applied for the bail of the defendant in the most liberal terms and promised that his client would not jump bail but would provide reliable sureties. Magistrate Taufik Badmus granted the bail of the defendant in the sum of 500,000 naira with two sureties in like sum. Badmus added that the sureties must swear to an affidavit of means, reside within the court's jurisdiction, and one of the sureties must have the defendant's blood relation. He stated further that the second surety must possess a 3-year tax clearance certificate and their addresses must be verified by the prosecutor. The case was adjourned until May the 16th for mention. An impostor, Akogun Rashid Usman, alleged to have been posing as an officer of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, has been arrested. The alleged fraudster, according to the Ilorin Zonal Command of the EFCC, has been defrauding victims on the pretext that he could help them procure a soft landing regarding their cases with the anti-graft agency. However, the bubble burst for the scammer when the Ilorin command of the commission received intelligence regarding his criminal activities. According to the intelligence, Usman, who hails from Babanla in Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State, claimed to be an EFCC officer and obtained 500,000 naira from one Mrs. Khadija Abdullahi, a parent of two of the suspects detained by the commission over internet fraud offenses. After his arrest on Thursday, March the 27th, 2024, at the General Hospital, Taiwo Oke area of Ilorin, he also claimed to be a staff of the library department of the Kwara State College of Education, Oro. His victim, Mrs. Abdullahi, said she became agitated when the suspect failed to have her two sons held in custody by EFCC released on bail to her as promised. According to the commission, firstly, she said Akogun and her went through the same security screening while at EFCC office, a situation that made her wonder why it should be so if he truly was an officer of the commission, as he claimed. She also noticed that while in EFCC office to perfect the phony bail, the self-styled EFCC staff neither received nor gave salutes or compliments to fellow officers, as compliments are a tradition in all security and law enforcement agencies. She added that rather than have her sons released to her, the suspect took her to a location outside the office to receive the said 500,000 naira and also demanded more money to perfect the bail. It was in the process of collecting an additional 200,000 naira that the long arm of the law caught up with her. According to EFCC, the suspect will be charged in court upon the conclusion of the ongoing investigations. A member of the House of Representatives, Asema Achado, has called on Governor Hyacinth Alia to enforce the state's anti-open grazing law. Achado, representing Gwea East and Gwea West, made the call in the wake of the tragic killing of 17 people in the Wando Mbakyo communities of Gwea East local government area. During a condolence visit to the affected community, Achado stated that the urgent need for the strict implementation of the open grazing prohibition law. He further urged for the prosecution of those responsible for the attack, denouncing it as an intolerable act of evil. Representatives from the Wando community, Zaki Sakuma Tov and Sir Simon Kofi, president of the Mbaikyo community in the diaspora, commended Achado for his dedication and compassion towards the people of his constituency. They expressed gratitude for the solidarity shown during visit and particularly in the face of recent adversities caused by attacks. Recall that the state government had issued a 2-week ultimatum to herders grazing openly in the state, which ended on March the 6th, 2023. The government had warned of implementing the open grazing law after the ultimatum expired. A 60-year-old woman, Hawa Nelson, arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Court in Yola, Adamawa State, has owned up to inflicting multiple injuries on a 9-year-old adopted girl, Mirabel Nelson. The court remanded the defendant after she admitted to having maltreated Mirabel. Facts on the matter indicate that Mirabel was beaten severally with a cable wire by the defendant for allegedly eating her cooked macaroni on the 24th of last month. Hawa was arraigned on a 3-count charge of cruelty to a person, indecent treatment of a child, and voluntary causing of hurt, contrary to sections 209, 210, and 220 of the Penal Code Law 2018. On her arraignment before the Chief Magistrate, Muhammad Buba, Hawa pleaded guilty to the charges brought against her by the Adamawa State Police Command. The police disclosed that Hawa committed the offense on March the 24th, 2024, and that it was reported to the command on March the 27th by Adamawa State Social Welfare Office. The police prosecutor, Inspector Zaka Musa, told the court that the defendant, who resides in Bekaji, Jimeta, Yola, descended on Mirabel after she ate her cooked macaroni. He added that the defendant assaulted the girl, as a result of which she sustained injuries all over her back and some other parts of her body. After the defendant's guilt plea, the prosecutor applied that the matter be adjourned to enable him to call a witness for the corroboration of the guilt plea. The court granted the application and adjourned the case to April 22, 2024, and ordered the remand of the defendant in prison custody. You are watching Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. We will be back after this very short break. Please stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You're a human.
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. And now we go on to the rest of our stories. The Defense Headquarters in Abuja said its operations across the country in the first quarter of 2024 has killed over 2,351 terrorists and arrested more than 2,308 suspected terrorists, and 1,241 kidnapped hostages have been rescued. Given the breakdown of successes for the period under review, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said troops also recovered 2,847 weapons, 58,492 ammunition, and denied the oil theft of an estimated sum of over 20 billion naira, amongst others. He also said that the military have empowered significant firepower to kill several terrorists and disrupt their activities, adding that the successes were enhanced through the synchronized strikes between the ground and air forces on terrorist enclaves.
Of 2024 has resulted in 2,351 terrorists neutralized, 2,308 persons arrested, and 1,241 kidnapped hostages rescued in the first quarter. Furthermore, troops recovered in this first quarter 2,847 weapons and over 58,000 assorted ammunitions. And we denied the oil theft of over 20 billion naira in this first quarter of 2024. The breakdown is as follows. We recovered 1,497 AK-47 rifles. We recovered over 33,000 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition and over 12,000 rounds of 7.62 NATO ammunition, as well as 948 assorted arms and over 5,000 assorted ammunition. Other achievements within this first quarter includes the recovery of over 21,000 liters of stolen crude oil, over 2.7 million liters of illegally refined ADO, otherwise known as diesel, over 53,000 liters of DPK, otherwise known as kerosene, and over 52,000 liters of PMS, otherwise known as petrol.
The names of the terrorist kingpins are Abu Bilal Minuki, aka Abubakar Mainok, head of Al Furqan province of the ISGS and ISWAP, and Haruna Isia Boderi. He was a notorious terrorist who operated along the burning Gwari forest in Kaduna State, as well as the Abuja-Kaduna highway. He was killed by troops on the 21st of February 2024. Others are Kachala Damina, who was killed on March the 24th by troops alongside over 50 combatants. Kachala Alhaji Dai, Kachala Idi Namai Daro, Kachala Kabiru called Doka, as well as Kachala Azarialu, known as Farin Ruwa, Kachala Balejo Ubangida, and Alhaji Baldu, amongst several others. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said a total of 2,351 terrorists were killed. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has called on religious leaders to continue to pray for the country. The minister said this in Abuja on Thursday when he received the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Oliver Alib Abba, who paid him a courtesy visit in his office in Abuja. Wike said, "We will continue to ask religious leaders to continue to pray for the salvation and growth of Nigeria. Prayer is key, and we can do what we think, but without God, there is nothing we can achieve." He stated that the country's leaders require the help of God to succeed and called on the religious leaders to also pray for the government of President Bola Tinubu to actualize his vision and dream of the renewed hope agenda in the country. "I urge you not to relent and continue to pray for this administration. Satan is always at work in the daytime, at night, and even at odd hours. But we do know that with your prayers we will defeat him," he said. The FCT minister also pledged the support of the FCT administration for religious organizations in the country and assured that the requests for land allocation by the Methodist Church for the construction of a media outfit and liaison office would be granted. President Bola Tinubu has called on Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, to collaborate with potential Nigerian vaccine manufacturers to ensure equitable access to life-saving vaccines for children and adults. Speaking at a meeting with the delegation of Gavi, led by its Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Sania Nishta, at the State House on Thursday, President Tinubu said the partnership on local vaccine production has become necessary owing to the challenges faced by developing countries, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic and other infectious disease outbreak. We have capable and talented people who can make the necessary contributions to the production of vaccines in Nigeria and the rest of Africa, the president told the visiting CEO, who assumed office on March the 18th, 2024, and has embarked on visits to some African countries. The president assured the Gavi CEO of Nigeria's commitment to fulfilling its outstanding counterpart contributions for routine vaccines for the year 2023. He directed the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, to work with the Coordinating Minister of Economy and Minister of Finance to ensure the release of necessary funds for vaccine procurement. We intend to contribute to the development of our healthcare program, and we are committed to partnering with Gavi, the president said. President Tinubu stated that his administration is focused on ensuring that no child is left behind when it comes to vaccination against preventable childhood diseases. Gavi's commitment to humanity is recognized throughout the world. Thank you for your impactful commitment to humanity, and we welcome your collaboration to save our children from preventable diseases. We as a nation are committed to your values, and we believe that no child should be left unprotected, he said. President Tinubu acknowledged the invaluable perspective shared by the Gavi CEO, who hails from a developing country, Pakistan, and emphasized the importance of leveraging her experience for the benefits of children's health, commending Dr. Nishta for her visit to Nigeria and support for the administration's health sector initiatives. The president pledged to prioritize investments in health sector renewal, noting that the importance of coordination and collaboration amongst federal, state, and local governments. The Deputy Senate President, Jibrin Barau, and the Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Apoti Odwagan, amongst others, were on Thursday inaugurated as members of the 6th ECOWAS Parliament. The inauguration, which took place on Thursday at the International Conference Center, Abuja, was graced by President Bola Tinubu, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, representatives of parliamentarians of other ECOWAS countries, diplomats, and top government officials. The lawmakers were inaugurated into the ECOWAS Parliament by Tinubu, who doubles as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. Natasha Apoti and other newly elected members of the ECOWAS Parliament took their oaths during the opening section. The ECOWAS Parliament is one of the institutions established by the ECOWAS Treaty of May 28, 1975, signed in Lagos, Nigeria. The treaty was revised in July 1993 and signed in Abidjan, and it is what is currently in use. The ECOWAS Parliament comprises 115 members, drawn from the 15 member countries and states, of which Nigeria is one. Nigeria has 35 slots, 7 senators, and 18 House of Representatives members in the ECOWAS Parliament. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, transmitted the list of the Nigerian delegation to the President of the ECOWAS Commission and the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament. The leader of the Nigerian delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament is the Deputy Senate President. The tenure of the members of the Parliament is 4 years, beginning from the date of inauguration. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has declared that he was not responsible for the suspension of Bauchi Central Senator Abdul Ningi over allegations of budget padding. Ningi had through his lawyer, Femi Falana, demanded the lifting of his suspension. Ningi warned that if his suspension is not lifted within 7 days, he will take legal action against the Senate president, as he contends that the process leading to his suspension was flawed. Correspondent reports that Ningi was suspended by the Senate on March the 12th for 3 months after claiming that the 2024 budget was padded with about 3.7 trillion naira. However, Akpabio's counsel, Ume Carlo, in a letter to Falana titled "Request to Lift the Suspension of Senator Abdul Ningi," stressed that the Senate President was not responsible for Ningi's suspension. The letter read, "We are solicitors to Senator Godswill Akpabio and write you in respect of the above subject matter at this instance. Your letter of March 27 with the above caption has been referred to us with instructions to react thereto. We have carefully read through your analysis of the facts and circumstances leading to your client's suspension from the Senate. We are unable to find reason in your verdict of our client's sole culpability in the said suspension. We therefore plead non est factum for our client. In addition to the above and contrary to the contents of your letter under reference, our client was at no time your client's accuser, prosecutor, and judge. Our client's role at the session of the Senate that led to your client's suspension was and remains the statutory role of a legislative house presiding officer, which role equally includes pronouncing the majority decision of the legislative house at the end of the debate and voting. Permits us to mention your attempt at drawing our client's attention to legal authorities and pronouncements of our courts of record on the unconstitutionality of suspending members of legislative houses, which attempt we dare say was unhelpful due to your failure or refusal to make available the relevant particulars of the said court decisions in your letter. You may wish to provide these legal authorities which you have alluded to, bearing in mind that every decision of a count emanates from its peculiar facts, circumstances, and extant laws, inasmuch as it may not be necessary to converse herein all the remedies available to our clients in response to your threats of a court action and petition to the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee. It is important we mention that the legislative proceedings are guided by rules. We urge you to give due consideration to the legal issues raised in this letter and be guided accordingly in your further and future actions in respect of this matter. Also, concerning the House of Representatives, they have assured of adequate funding of the students' loan for the benefit of Nigerians studying in public-owned tertiary institutions across the country. Chairman of the House Committee on Student Loan, on Scholarship and Higher Education Financing, Honorable Boyega Ishaka, gave the assurances during a press briefing held in Abuja. The lawmaker disclosed that the quantum of funds required for successful implementation of the students' loan will be drawn from 1% of all revenues accruing to the Federation account, adding that the repeal of the initial Student Loan Act was necessitated with a view to remove all bottlenecks that may deprive a lot of Nigerian students from accessing the loan.
Accessing the loan, the condition, the bottleneck, and the institutional challenge. Well, the conditions and the bottleneck, that is what this law has tried to remove. And that is why the issue of guarantors were removed. So that, and in this age of technology, and knowing that these are the youths, these are people that are knowledgeable, some of those institutional challenges too, we should be able to circumvent them, because most of it, I know, will be online, will be tech-based. I mean, the whole essence of this is, number one, is about cost sharing. Number two is also to give the students the opportunity to also have a say into their future. Now, if you want to go and read engineering, and the cost of engineering is so much, and you feel that your parents cannot afford it, therefore you want to, because of that, go to business admin or go to sociology. Now you have opportunity to go and read your engineering, because you know that at least you'll be able to, you'll be able to, assess a loan that can take you out of school, and also to bring some sanity into our education system. we now have a situation where, at the end of the day, both the government, the parents, and the students are all contributing towards educating a child. I mean, who will now be given an opportunity to start repayment up to a maximum of 10% of his gross income, that is what is in the law, when he even start working.
The member also disclosed that anyone convicted is liable to 2 million naira fine or 3 months imprisonment or both. Speaking on the possible takeoff time of the scheme, he expressed optimism that the executive will expedite action on the setting up of the management team of the institution without further delay, and also averred that the education loan has both economic and social benefits, and the student loan is interest-free loan and also has a flexible repayment arrangement. And this is where we wrap it up on this edition of Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. I am your host, Raymond Ken Mbata. Stay connected with us on our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You're a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending